Weezer was formed on Valentine's Day in 1992. The band's original members included Rivers Cuomo on vocals and guitar, Pat Wilson on drums, Matt Sharp on bass, and Jason Cropper on guitar, who soon after was replaced by Brian Bell. Like many bands, it took Weezer a while to choose a name. On their first recorded tape, they jokingly included several potential names on the label. Among the possibilities were Meathead, The Big Jones, This Niblet, and Outhouse. But in the end, Weezer won out, which alluded to the name Rivers was called when he was teased for having asthma as a child. Weezer's first show took place on Thursday, March 19, 1992, at Raji's, a club on Hollywood Boulevard. Earlier that day, the yet-to-be-named Weezer was calling different venues to try to line up a gig. Raji's needed an opener to accommodate a show with the actor Keanu Reeves' band, so the timing worked out perfectly. A few months later, a representative of Geffen Records saw Weezer on a bill with the band That Dog. Weezer signed to Geffen and released their debut self-titled album in 1994, which is often referred to as the Blue Album. Geffen didn't do much promotion for the album, instead opting for a wait-and-see approach. But soon after, a DJ in Seattle began playing Undone, the Sweater Song, and the Blue Album took off from there. Spike Jonze directed a simple music video for the Sweater Song, which featured Weezer performing on a soundstage and being swarmed by dogs. The whole idea was done in a single shot, and it became an instant hit on MTV. Spike Jonze also directed the band's second music video for the song Buddy Holly. The video employed clever editing to make it seem as though the band was performing for Fonzie, Richie, and the other characters from the classic 70s sitcom Happy Days. The video won 4 VMAs and 2 Billboard Music Video Awards. It was even included on the free companion CD for the Microsoft Windows 95 operating system. Ironically, the video's popularity scared Rivers Cuomo, who worried that its success was more due to its gimmicky concept than Weezer itself. The Blue Album eventually reached triple platinum in the US and remains Weezer's all-time best-selling album. Weezer's second album was originally going to be called Songs from the Black Hole, but after writing a few songs featuring many references to the opera Madame Butterfly, the direction changed. Pinkerton was released in 1996 and had a much darker and raw tone due in part to the techniques used in its recording. For example, rather than overdubbing in a traditional manner, Cuomo, Brian Bell, and Matt Sharp actually recorded their vocals at the same time. Further affecting Pinkerton's tone was the fact that during the writing process, Cuomo had a surgery to correct his asymmetrical legs. The procedure required surgically breaking the bone in one of his legs and wearing a steel brace for months afterwards. The whole ordeal was extremely painful, and Rivers' frustration is palpable in Pinkerton's mood. Spike Jonze offered to direct a video for El Scorcho, but Cuomo's worry from the Buddy Holly video caused him to turn Jonze down. Instead, he opted for something more straightforward, but the video's director didn't get along well with the band. He quit the project before it was done, leaving Rivers to edit it himself. Initially, Pinkerton's stark difference in sound and tone was met with mixed reviews, but over time, the album has achieved cult status. While touring to support Pinkerton, however, tragedy struck. Michael and Carly Allen, who were the founding members of Weezer's fan club and very good friends with the band, died in a car accident. Eerily, this event seemed to be predicted by a Blue Album B-side named after the sisters, but the similarities were just an unfortunate coincidence. Weezer held a tribute concert in their honor with all proceeds going to the family of the deceased. Weezer would go on to dedicate the Green Album to the Allen sisters when it was released in 2001. The death of Michael and Carly was one of the significant factors to the band's 3-year hiatus, which followed the heels of the Pinkerton tour. Then bassist Matt Sharp left the band, and in 1998, Rivers went into seclusion. He painted the walls of his house black, disconnected his phone, and didn't speak to anyone for months. This period is just one of the reasons Rivers is sometimes compared to Beach Boy Brian Wilson, who did something similar. It took 2 years before Rivers re-emerged and the band began production on their third album. Despite their rise in the grunge movement of the 90s, Weezer has always been known for their relatively clean lyrics. Rivers Cuomo once told Rolling Stone, "I don't like to use real swear words." Weezer came up at a time when everyone was trying to be controversial. We look back to the rock and roll's pre-drug days, to the clean images of the Beach Boys, that felt ironically rebellious. Weezer members have in fact listed the Beach Boys as one of their primary influences, along with bands like Nirvana, Kiss, and the Pixies. As of 2013, Weezer sold 9.2 million albums in the US and over 17 million albums worldwide. They have released multiple EPs, and their 10th full-length studio album came out in May of 2016. Looking back, both the Blue Album as well as Pinkerton are often named as two of the best albums of the 90s, and Pinkerton is regarded by many as one of the most influential emo albums of all time. In addition to paving the way for emo, Weezer also helped set the stage for the indie movement of the 2000s. Many 90s garage bands were formed by teenagers learning to cover Weezer songs, and countless other bands cite them as an influence to their music, including Ben Queller, who claims Rivers as his idol. Weezer truly spoke to a generation, helped define a decade, and will surely continue to influence music for many years to come.